Hi, this is Kevin from M&E Services, and this blog, our blog, is all about answering questions that you, our consumer, or the general public want to ask about plumbing or electrical items. So if there's any plumbing or electrical queries that you have, please do get in touch. So today's question from one of our customers is, what shower can I replace my existing shower with? So we get asked this a lot. So the customer has rang me, the property owner has rang me saying their existing shower is not working right any longer and they just want it swapping out. They say, what shower can I have? The one I had wasn't great and I would like a more powerful one this time. Now, there isn't a one-size-fits-all answer here, I'm afraid. My answer is, it depends. What does it depend on? Quite a few things. So, firstly, the existing size of the MCB in the consumer unit, or electric box, or distribution board, or whatever you want to call it. Even in the trade, it's got lots of names. But think where you trip the electric back on, what I'm calling the consumer unit today. Number two, the size of the cable that runs from the consumer unit to the shower isolator and from the shower isolator to the shower. So don't assume that it's always the same size cable, because we've seen that sometimes they are mixed. Number three, the route the cable takes. So does the cable go up behind the wall from the consumer unit into the loft, under the insulation, over the top of the insulation, to the isolator? There's various ways that an electrician could have run it originally. We need to determine how it is run, because it does have an impact on the size of the cable that's needed for your shower. Number four, the existing shower's output. Well, we use it as a guide only, but don't assume because it's got a particular size shower in it that we can instantly swap it out for one of the same size, because we need to do our duty of care to make sure that it's right, and quite often it's not. So now I'm reasonably armed with all the information that I need, and now I need to go away and do several calculations to determine the answer. Okay, so the first step would be to take the wattage of the shower, or the kilowatt rating of the shower that the customer wants. So in this example, we'll use 9.5 kilowatt shower. The customer wants a 9.5 kilowatt shower. So we take the wattage, we take the kilowatt and we turn it into watts. So there's 1,000 watts per kilowatt. So 9.5 kilowatt times 1,000 equals 9,500 watts. We then divide it by the voltage, and the voltage that we use in the UK to determine calculations is generally 230. So we take 9,500 and divide it by 230 and it comes up with just over 41 amps. We can't get a 41 amp breaker, so we say we need a 40 amp breaker. So then we look at what breaker is in the consumer unit already. Is there a 40 amp breaker? Maybe not. If we need to upsize it to a 40 amp breaker, or downsize it even, in fact, can we still get breakers for that board? We often see that people somehow squeeze different breakers into boards that aren't meant to be there. It's dangerous. Don't do it. We never will. So if you can't get a breaker for the board, you can't do it with that board. You'd have to put a separate little unit in that just did the shower. If you can still get one, that's great. So assuming we have the answers to those two steps, now we need to determine whether the cable runs from the consumer unit to the shower can carry the 40 amps. So now we're talking about the cable. We've done the breaker, now we're talking about the cable. Now this is where it gets even more confusing. You'll be told everywhere you read on the internet that you need to refer to the 18th edition tables, etc. And whilst this is true, there's a really quick way, if you use the website that I'm going to show you, to calculate your minimum cable size. Okay, so I'm just going to flick now to the website that I use as a quick reference. Okay, so we're on tlc-direct.co.uk, and on there they have this calculator, and basically a voltage drop calculator, and basically you just complete the boxes and it will give you the answers after you hit this green tab saying calculate minimum cable size. So starting from the top, answer the questions that it's presenting. So cable type, it gives you a list of twin and earth, which is generally everything that's wired within the house is twin and earth, unless you've got a really old house and it could be singles or all sorts of stuff, but generally twin and earth. SWA is generally stuff that's run outdoors, so we're going to say twin and earth. The application is how the cable is run throughout the house. Now this is in general, so if it goes through a few of these, you take the one that the majority of the cable is installed by. So for instance, I'm going to say it's clipped direct to a wall, so it's behind the plaster as it leaves the consumer unit. It goes through the insulation in the loft, which is, you could get mixed up with this, but it only goes through it, and then it's clipped to the trusses high level across the roof and back down to the isolator. So for this application, I'm going to say clip direct to a wall. Circuit type, you've got a lighting circuit or a non-lighting circuit to choose from. So that's easy. Non-lighting circuit, it's a shower. Number of circuits, there's only one circuit that feeds a shower, only one cable. The circuit layout, side by side or bunched together. Bunched together, you get a grouping factor. And when you calculate the grouping factor of cables, because you get extra heat, the cable size has to increase. Generally, you run in a shower cable, and once it gets into the roof, it goes off on its own. It's never really bunched together. But do check in the roof, if you've got access, to just determine it. In my example, on the one I surveyed, I'm happy with choosing this. So we'll put in the power 9.5 kilowatt. The voltage is already given, it's given you that, 230, it knows we're in the UK. And on this one it's 12 metres. So if I was to measure from the consumer unit to the loft space, across from the loft space to the isolator and the shower, add a couple of metres, I'm well within. It's probably actually more like 10. But I built 12 just to give me a bit of safety. And when I hit calculate, it says the minimum cable size is going to be 6mm, of which it was, and there's my 41.3, but I'm going to put a 40 amp breaker in, and it says the load that cable could actually take is 47 amps. So that's that part of it done, and that's on tlc-direct.co.uk. Find the calculator. It is a really quick way of determining pretty decently what size cable you want. So on my visit there was a 30 amp MCB, there was an 8.5 kilowatt shower, in actual fact the existing one, and it was using 6mm cable. So albeit the installation was safe, the actual MCB was underrated, which makes it perfectly safe, but the performance of the shower wouldn't have been as it should have been. So it wouldn't perform as it should do because it isn't receiving enough power. But the customer wanted a more powerful shower. When I calculated it, the MCB would have been nowhere near big enough and the cable would have been upsized. So that was what was suggested and recommended accordingly. So to summarise this session, it's not straightforward to answer the question, but I hope this video has given you some insight on how to determine quite quickly what sort of size shower that you could have if you wanted to choose. So Please like the video, please comment on the video, and any questions that you want us to answer, send them in and we'll be happy to answer. Until next time, this is Kevin from M&E. Take care.